Oh man, I'm exhausted. Jesus Christ, man. How many times do we got to be in a dogfight? How many times that we clearly have an opportunity to put teams away early and often, and we just decide to let these teams hang around us? How many times do we have to allow this? How many times this season I'm gonna have to watch us make self-inflicted mistakes, whether if it's play calling wise, whether if it's player and execution wise? How many times do I have to keep seeing this shit? Now, Missouri gave us a fight. Missouri clearly had things that we have never faced. Number one, they have the best edge rushing duo that we've faced all season long. Um, Zion Young and Damian Wilson. Damian Wilson absolutely destroyed Wilkin for me today. Zion Young, he was out there making plays. Their interior defensive line, was out there making plays, causing penetration, beating us in stump loops, and twists. They were just finding ways to just they just continue to get pressure all day long. But my goodness, we got to get a little bit more creative. We got to get a little bit more creative with our offensive play calls. I think from the passing game. I also thought that Ty Simpson, he held the ball way too longer than I actually thought he would do. I think a lot of the time was because he was trying to hold down the safeties, hold down the linebackers, trying to freeze them out and try to go with the original progression read, try to free them up. But it was just slow. I mean, he held the ball a little bit too longer. Missed, not going to say wide open reads, but throws that were definitely possible. It just was not the best day again for this offense. And the defense, once again, had to come up and make some clutch stops. Again, were there some things that I didn't like about Cam Womack today? Absolutely. But there were some things where I definitely feel like in this game, more so than the Vanderbilt game, where the players got to execute. Linebackers got to fill in the gaps a little bit more consistently. Once again, we had another big run because the linebackers couldn't flow. The linebackers just couldn't flow in the right direction. Or they read it the wrong way, which again, this is a defense that mostly it's more react than read. But your linebackers, if you're gonna you have to flow in a much more fluid sort of direction. Otherwise, you're gonna get caught up within traffic, and now all of a sudden the big run's gonna start to happen. So that's like 10 big run plays where that's on your linebackers, and that's on your linebackers and secondaries for not being able to fill. How many times do we have to go through this shit? Now, granted, Missouri is a tremendous run team. Tremendous run team. They got players. Roberts, Ahmad Hardy. A lot of people compared him to Derrick Henry with his trajectory. I think we can kill that shit today. But yeah, they got a physical offensive line. Very, very physical offensive line. They're more of a zone based. They're more of a zone blocking team. You saw a lot of outside runs, stretch plays, a lot of runs off the pistol. You saw a lot of wide zone sort of plays, but they also can run some gap duo sort of concepts. They can run a little bit more power, more misdirection. But tackling, I thought, again, was better. I thought tackling was better in the first half, but we got into the second half again. I thought tackling was a little bit more inconsistent. We gotta figure out ways to create more turnovers, guys. We had 3 turnovers that should have happened. I mean, we had an interception, we had a fumble recovery that we could have had. Like, we had a lot of missed opportunities for turnovers, and when we did capitalize off of turnovers, we didn't get points off the turnovers. We just didn't get points off the turnovers. So, oh my goodness gracious! Once again, injuries. Injuries happened again. Prayers up to Derek Meadows and Jam Miller. They walked off the field with their own power, but they're most likely going to miss both. They're most likely going to miss. Jam Miller most likely is going to miss the Tennessee game. That's a very, very big game because although Missouri has a pretty good front seven, they got a lot of speed. Tennessee's got size, power, and speed as well. Tennessee's front seven is better than Missouri's. Like, they have a really, really good rotation. Missouri has a really good starting lineup. Tennessee's got depth. Like, they got 2-3 guys behind them that can easily go in there and still be effective, whether if it's rushing the quarterback, rushing the passer, squeezing the pocket, or whether if it's filling in run lanes, or just kind of creating chaos in traffic. They got death upon death upon death upon death. Their secondary got Colton Hood. I don't know if Jermon McCoy is going to come back for Tennessee. So, but Colton Hood's been playing with his hair on fire, but that's a game that you can win. That's going to be another tough game. Another tough game against an offense that's even more explosive, that can stretch you vertically. Because Missouri had like maybe a couple plays where they stretched this out vertically, and that was literally in the last 3 minutes of the game. For the most part, they're more of an RPO-based team. They're more of an option-based offense, which I knew that is exactly what, again, it's not like Florida State or Vanderbilt's offense. This is more of they're an RPOs-based team, right? They're that fits to what we like to do. It's a little bit different compared to Gus Malzahn's offense or again Tim Beck's offense, where they do run RPO-based concepts, but it's for the most part it's a lot of QB power, a lot of QB power, a lot of jet sweeps, motion. It's an offense that attacks you horizontally and laterally. A lot of their reads for Bo Trabella, again, they don't take a lot of vertical shots. And I think that we've gotten really, really good in terms of going against teams that are more focused on horizontal and lateral movement. So Missouri couldn't stretch the field vertically until literally the last 4 minutes of the game, and thankfully, we were able to kind of keep that in check. At least we got the win. But Tennessee can stretch you out vertically. Now they're a little bit more pro style. They still run that wide split shit, but for the most part, they're a little bit more pro style because I think the quarterback is a little bit more pro style. And they got receivers, big, tall, physical, strong receivers that can stretch you out vertically, kill you with flood concepts, dagger concepts, Yankee concepts. They can kill you with that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next week for sure. But we got away with it. I can't lie to you. We got away with it in this game. And thankfully, we got the win. But it's just about putting teams away at this point, guys. Like, we are just missing a killer instinct that... I'm not going to say Saban teams because I know a lot of people are like, well, Saban's not here. Obviously, he's not here. But we are missing a killer instinct to put teams away. Struggling again in the red zone. To put points away. We don't have a kicker worth shit. So we're back to that. We're back to having a kick. We're back to just having a mediocre kicking game. And then, defense came clutch a couple times. It was scary, but I mean, let's be honest. Kane Wommack's defense isn't the best out there. And so this is going to be another game where it's like, what's the main strength of your team? Because your offense, you got a lot of weapons, but we're 27, 30 points. It's not bad, but, look at us. We're struggling again to score points in the second half. We're a really good first half offense, but we're struggling. We're continuing to miss opportunities to score points in the second half. That's something that we have to correct. But I'm glad we got the win. Am I happy about the result? Not really. I am glad that we got the win. And I can be glad and not happy at the same time because we should have blown this team away. Just like how in the Vanderbilt game, we had opportunities to blow that team away and we just couldn't do it because we continue to have self-inflicting mistakes. Now, the good thing is when adversity hits this team, we find ways to win. We find ways to win. When adversity hits this team, we find ways to win. And that's always a good thing to have because when your back is against the wall, you know that you have a team, whether if it's your offense or defense, that you can count on. You have a quarterback in Ty Simpson that you can count on. You have players that, regardless of position, you can count on to make plays. But other than that, I'm glad we got it. Not going to complain that much longer. It's on to Tennessee. This shit's not going to get any easier, folks. The Vanderbilt game, I felt like was the toughest challenge. Well, the Missouri game pushed us to the limit. Now that we got Tennessee, which is going to push us to the limit as well. And that should be your revenge game. But let's be honest, I don't think that there's a big talent discrepancy between us and Tennessee. That game is going to be another close, tight, hard-fought game where adversity, you're going to face adversity, and it's just all about, what do you do in those situations? So we'll see what happens against Tennessee, man. That's another really good football team. They're not, again, you can beat that team. Hell, Mississippi State almost beat them. But it's all about playing our game, improving week by week, and seeing if we can do that. But anyway, guys, Roll Tide, we got the win. Always going to be rocking the A. Yes, it's cold as hell. That's why I'm rocking the beanie. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.